Hello, my name is Lacy, and I will be reviewing The Awakening by Kate Chompin. Hope you enjoy. The Awakening by Kate Chompin. Reviewer by Ian Lacy. Summary. This book is set in the 1800s where the rights of women were determined by the men that possessed them. Edna Pointteller, the protagonist in the story, goes through is the protagonist's story and goes through a series of awakenings that will set her free from the shackles of men. Along the way, she comes to find out who she truly is. The story is set in New Orleans during the time of the traditional Creole nation. Edna Pointteller. Edna Pointteller is the protagonist of the book. The title of the book is about her, the the awakening she has throughout the book. She is a wife and the mother of three boys. And is getting tired of mother womanhood, as the book will call it. She has to do something, she has to do everything a stereotypical woman would have to do: cook, clean, take care of her guests, her children, along with being an acceptable wife to her husband. But what Edna really wants to do is to be free of feeling like a possession, to have her own say without having to obey every command a man gives her. She wants to be able to do something with her life than just be a housewife. Art is another passion, but her husband and the Creole culture say that a woman should be all about her family, not her own dreams. Eventually, as time would come to pass, this is her first step toward her awakening, wanting something more, and as such, she gets invested in a man that is not her husband. Luance Pointteller. Luance Pointteller is the husband of Edna Pointteller. He is a wealthy Creole businessman that cares for his family. He loves his wife and his children, but all he really cares for is the social status of himself and his family. If something he feels would get people talking about him, then he must stop it. He is also a very religious man and takes his Creole tradition seriously. One might say he follows the code of the Creole nation. Edna and Luance Pointeller's marriage. The Pointeller's marriage is a rocky one, though they do not like to show it. Through the six consecutive years they have been married, conservative. I mean, through the six conservative years they have been married, they started out happy in love with one another. But as time goes on, they start to become distant. It started when Edna refused to get out of bed right away to check on their sick child. Edna was tired and felt that Luance could go and check on him, but he got mad at her, saying that it's her woman mother duty. This action led to Edna wanting out. You could say this was her last straw, being a shackle to her husband before she starts her awakening. But this wasn't the last argument, and the last argument that turned the table of their marriage. Edna was so adamant about finding herself that some days out of the week she would take time to herself, painting and sketching. Luance disapproved of her nature to find herself because it was not the status quo of women in the 1800s, let alone in New Orleans, the great Creole nation. Time and time again, he tells her that her mind should be of her womanly duties, that she should stop trying to become something she will never be. Luance even said that she does not resemble the mother womanhood she should be. Edna, on the other hand, agrees with this fact. She is not the mother woman she should be. and she doesn't want to be. She wants to be independent, not relying on a man, not relying on her womanly duties. She wants to be free to do whatever she pleases. This thought consumes her, and though she doesn't share it, she shows it through the book with a man named Robert Liebram. Robert Liebram. Robert Liebram is the single bachelor in the novel. He has a reputation of having a different woman every summer. When he wants someone, he tells them in a joking manner that no one really takes seriously. But when he and Edna meet, it sparks in the sky. He fancies Edna and takes her out on a few dates and gets really close to her. Edna feels the same when they go on a trip into the cottage together. She pretends like they are the only ones in the world. She can be free with him, unlike her husband. And the passion he shows her any other is like any other she has had in a while. He is the first awakening. He awakens her infatuation. Never before since she has been married to Luans has she had this new feeling. She remembers having this feeling before, only before she was married, feeling free before in a cage of marriage. Though both characters have love for each other, there is one thing Robert knows. No matter how much he feels for Edna and wants to be with her, she is the possession of her husband. She is not his. This is a big thing in the 1800s. Women were seen as opposite positions of the house. The Awakenings. Edna and herself. There are several moments and people that Edna meets that bring her to her awakening. This is important because this impacts everything that Edna does. It empowers her every soul, that essence of who she is, a woman. Mademoiselle Reyes. Mademoiselle Reyes would be the most influential awakenings that Edna would ever have. Mademoiselle Reyes is unmarried, childless, lives alone, and is focused on her music. She is a pianist, and she represents everything a woman was not back then. Independent. Edna admires her as her muse. She is everything she wants to be. And when Edna pursues her need to be independent, she is the person Edna runs to. Mademoiselle Reyes tells her that she must have the courage and defiant soul to become an artist, to be fine with being an outcast if it came down to it. She also awakens Edna's feminism. Her music she plays hits Edna's very soul. Never before has Edna cried during a musical performance. Before. She opens her eyes to the womanhood she has been missing. The sea. The sea plays a role in this novel. The sea is a sense of rebirth. Edna, at one point during her isolation from her family, goes to the sea. She had always avoided going into the ocean, but this day she makes her decision. She makes her decision to go on to the sea, and when she does, she feels liberated. She could finally one take on the world. She also felt a peace because of how far isolated from the shore she was. She was able to just be her. This also was a time for her to see what she was made of. Could she get back to the shore after swimming all that way? But how could how but how sh but how but now she had conquered, not only being in the sea but also having the strength to get back. Adele Radignol. Adele Radical is Adele's closest friend. She represents how a Victorian woman back then should be. She puts her children first, worships her husband, and does all the housewife duties. She is what Edna is not. Edna can't stand how her friend can be so subservient to a man. She knew that Adele had the talent for music, but only using it to entertain. This was because in the Creole culture, women were only able to use their talents to entertain, never to actually pursue. The role in the Creole culture Adele Radical of shows is that of mother womanhood. She is someone that Edna begins to disconnect with as like with her husband. Adele Radical was the catalyst of Edna's rebellion. Her free nature and her way of being able to talk about certain things enticed Edna. And without Adele Radical, she would never have heard Mademoiselle Reyes play her music. Finally, Edna's suicide. Edna, after being awakened from her awakening throughout the book, does one final step. She commits suicide by drowning in the ocean. There are many reasons for this action. One would be that after pursuing another man and having the people of Grand Isle talk, she could have been afraid of the reputation being perceived. Two, her reason to die was to avoid her responsibility as a mother. Three, or it could be her final act to be free from the shackles of men. Whatever the case may be, there is one thing for sure. Edna found herself. She found the person that she found the person that had been hidden underneath the commands of men. And that is my presentation. I hope you enjoyed that.